Hi, I'm Katie Crane, and this is the Pilates Lounge. Welcome back, my friends, and welcome to Season 2 of the Pilates Lounge podcast. Who would have thought that we would have survived an entire year of listening to a podcast about Pilates? But here we are again. Thanks so much for joining me. My name's Katie Crane, and I am the Pilates professional. Now, listen up. This season, we are going beyond the choreography. Whether or not you realize it, and whether or not you are teaching a mat class, reformer classes, or serving people with clinical Pilates, you, my friend, are in business. And in this world of Pilates, owning your expertise is as important as perfecting your repertoire. My name's Katie Crane. I am your host, and I've got over 20 years of experience as a Pilates professional, owning a studio, running retreats, running teacher training, and of course, enjoying my time with you online. I truly have figured out how to build my lifestyle with the work that I absolutely adore doing, which is why we're going to be talking all about you building your following, growing your confidence as an instructor, and how to get yourself seen. I'm going to explore with you how our industry is evolving, the trends shaping our work, and how you can stay ahead of the curve as a Pilates pro. It's really all about equipping you with the tools not just to survive, but to truly thrive and to really love what you're doing with longevity. So whether that means that art of mastering connection, attracting the right clients, or elevating your presence in the Pilates community, I've got you covered. So my friend, grab your coffee or even jump on a machine while you listen to this episode and let's get into it. This is the Pilates Lounge, and I am here to help you step into the spotlight with strength, passion, and of course, a little bit of quirky fun. Let's get into this. Hi everyone, my name's Katie Crane. I'm the Pilates professional. Welcome to this solo episode of the Pilates Lounge podcast. I've probably gone on about this topic before, and I'm going to go on about it again because this topic is what keeps us going as Pilates professionals, as movement educators, as community members who serve other people. If you can truly tap into and resonate and know the reason that you do what you do with depth, consideration, reflection, and constant wearying or curiosity, I promise you that you will continue to love the work that you do for many, many years to come. You probably know that I've been teaching Pilates for about 20 odd years, and every single day is a brand new day for me. Not a day goes by that I don't look forward to doing what I do. And in fact, even when I take time out, I'm still considering Pilates because to me, Pilates truly is a lifestyle practice. It's not just the repertoire. It's not just getting on a machine and moving. It's not coming into the studio and teaching people. It's not getting on the mat and practicing. To me, Pilates really is the cornerstone of living a fulfilling, holistic, and honorable life, which is why it still excites me 20 years later. And no matter what happens, and I am not immune to shit hitting the fan, to bumps in the road, to plans going askew. Believe me, we all have the same kind of shit going on in our life as each other. Nobody really has anything else, anything more going on than the next person. Even when you feel like you're the only person out there struggling to find clients or struggling to connect with other instructors or struggling to find ends meet financially, you're certainly not alone. But if you truly connect with the reason behind why you do what it is that you do, then none of that matters. Then you can ride the wave no matter how turbulent the sea is. So I'm going to come back and touch on this again today with you, specifically because this season, as you know, is all about the business of Pilates. And your business starts with you. You definitely rely on other people. You rely on customers coming in. You rely on your email marketing systems working. You rely on social media getting the traction that you need to get it. You rely on a lot of different cogs in the wheel turning cohesively. But ultimately, you rely on yourself. And if you can show up every single day, no matter what, then I promise, and not only just show up, but if you can actually show up and show up with heart, then I promise you, you really can overcome anything. Now, in true Pilates professional style, I've done a little bit of research before I get to this topic today. I understand the why, and personally, I've done a heck of a lot of reflection on my own why. The concept of knowing your why was introduced to me by a mentor of mine. And I remember when I first did the task and I had to sit down and write down why it is that I do what I do. And of course, like a lot of people, initially I was like, well, I just love teaching Pilates. Then she asked a question, and I'm going to ask this to you. So I want you to sit there right now and ask yourself, why do you show up every day? What keeps you going as a Pilates instructor? So I'm going to assume that you've come up with a great idea like, well, I just love Pilates myself, and so I want to share it with the world. This is common. This is very, very common. I know, because I ask all of my students, why do you want to become a Pilates instructor? So I'm going to ask you another question. And why is that? And I want you to answer that. Why is that? So why is it that you want to share Pilates with the world just because you love it? Why is that? And I want you to think about that right now. And now I'm going to ask you another question. Whatever it is that you have decided in your head, why is that? I want you to ask yourself that question again. Why is it that you show up every single time? What keeps you going every day? And then I'm going to ask you one more time. Now that you've come up with your third answer already, I want to ask you one more time. And why is that? And I want you to really consider and ask yourself, could you go a little bit deeper than what we've gone just now? And I bet you could. I bet if you really sat down and you were truthful to yourself, and if you really considered exactly what it is that Pilates has given you. It hasn't given you the ability to move. It hasn't given you a fun workout. It hasn't given you something to do every day that makes your body feel good. Pilates has given you so much more than that. And then when you share it with somebody else, there is even a deeper why to what Pilates has even given you personally. And that, my friend, is what keeps you going every single day. So I'm going to share this with you because I've done this practice many, many times for myself, and I do it all the time with my students. We do it at the start of the course and then we do it at the end of the course, because we all know as Pilates lovers and Pilates instructors that becoming a Pilates instructor is forced growth, whether we like it or not. But what gets me out of bed every single day and keeps me going no matter what is my true belief that people deserve more. Whatever it is that they've got going on in their life today, they deserve more, damn it. People don't deserve to be living life in pain, in fear. They don't deserve to be denied medical freedom. They don't deserve to be ostracized because of their capacity to maybe not take part in society. People deserve more. And if I can be one little piece of that pie, if I can give somebody just a tiny glimmer of hope, then I believe that the world can be a better place. And I truly believe that. I truly believe that if I can be somebody who is there for my fellow human beings, and I can stand there strong with a strong foundation, with strong core values, with empathy, compassion, courage, and an educated self, then I can elevate somebody else. And when I look around at humanity right now, I see a lot of very scared, lost, angry, uncertain people who don't even have the ability to speak to their neighbor. I see people not smiling more than what I see them smiling. So people are in a bad, bad way. And I feel like I could be the change to somebody's life. And if I can do that, then potentially that can have a ripple effect to the rest of the world. And I believe that not only because I see it in the work that I do, but also because I was that person for myself. And I realized that not everybody has the courage and the strength and the conviction to stand up and do what's right. I'm pretty thick-skinned. It's just the way that I'm built. But if I don't use that skill that I've got and really use it for the good of mankind, and I know that that could sound massive, then I don't have a reason for being here at all. Because our life is not just about getting up and going to work every day. I actually don't understand how anybody could just get up and go to work every day. I don't understand how people cannot know their why. I believe that everybody on this planet is here to serve other people or here to serve others in general. So whether that's people or animals or their environment, whatever it is, but we are designed to serve. And if we are not, that's when we become angry, upset, unforgiving, scared, timid, uncertain, and ultimately sick. So every day I get out of bed knowing that I'm going to be the shining lights to somebody's life whose light may be dim. And as somebody who has lived in pain, I understand very well the psychological debilitation that pain can give us. I was just very fortunate to be born with the type of personality where I could drag myself out of that, despite what I was being told by medical professionals, by my workplace, and even by my friends at the time. I was told that I was crazy to be leaving my job and traveling around the world to go on a surfing adventure because I was told that I should get used to being a disabled person and that was the best thing I could do, was just get used to it. And a lot of people would just lay down and bear that, but not everyone. And so from my own lessons, I believe that I only have one choice to make good in my lifetime. And I need to share my strength with other people so that they can find the strength in themselves. That keeps me excited. Knowing that I could give somebody else hope, knowing that I could pull somebody else out of a deep hole, knowing that I could be the one person in their life that says, you can do this. That gets me so excited to get out of bed every single day. And I promise you, my friends, I am not immune to shit hitting the fan. At the moment, I've got so much going on at the studio. We are shutting down one business, opening another business. I've lost more staff in the last 6 months than what I've ever lost before. So at a time when we should be expanding our staff because we're about to expand our studio, my staff, I don't have staff. And that could have sent me into a deep hole and I could have just given up and thought, oh, well, that's a sign from the universe to not go forward. But instead, I've got this crazy attitude that if the universe is going to throw me a curveball, damn it, I'm going to learn how to play baseball even better. And so instead of feeling sorry for myself, feeling burnt out, feeling overwhelmed that I couldn't do other things, I started to come up with new ideas of how can I get through this? How can I jump these hurdles? How can I continue to scale this mountain that all of a sudden I've come through the clouds thinking that I'm at the top of the mountain and I've realized that I've only just hit base camp, baby. This could have broken me. But instead, because I have such a deep, deep belief that my purpose is valuable, my purpose is serving other people in a way that's going to improve the entire globe. After all, if I can just help the person right in front of me, that does have a ripple effect throughout the world. So if I'm aware of that, it doesn't matter what I've got going on. It doesn't matter. I just keep showing up every single day. So I do want you to really consider, what is your why? What actually keeps you showing up? Because if you're saying that it's because you love teaching Pilates and nothing else, just because you like to teach people how to move well, that's bullshit. You need to go deeper than that. And you know why I know that you need to go deeper than that? Because if you don't, you will burn out. And when you burn out, there's nothing worse than leaving your job, having known that you could have changed lives and then getting to the point where you leave your job because you actually can't face it anymore. You don't have a why if that's how you feel. And I know because I left a job. I left a job before I started Pilates, and when I first started that job, I absolutely loved it. I thought that it was the greatest opportunity of my life, and at the time, probably it was. But by the time I left it, because I no longer had a why, I no longer had a reason to show up, I no longer had fire in my belly, and that fire had been dampened by so many things that went on that I had to leave. And the 15 years that I had spent building my career just tumbled down like a deck of cards, like a house of cards. Pilates people, just quickly, I'm looking for the next best Pilates instructor, a comprehensively trained instructor with at least 2 years experience. You need to be able to teach one-on-ones, semi-privates, individually tailored sessions using all of the equipment. You need to be able to teach a really fun, competitive reformer class, a tower class, and a mat class. Not only that, you need to be super passionate about the Pilates profession because you would be working alongside me, the Pilates professional, at my studio in sunny Darwin, Australia, the top end of Australia, right up in the tropics, just a hop away from Southeast Asia. A great place to explore not only Australia, but a lot of the rest of the world. If you are this person, then I'd love to hear from you. Katie at thepilatesprofessional.com.au. Now, we're not just any Pilates studio. Not only do we offer both clinical types of Pilates and fitness Pilates, but we also have infrared saunas, ice baths, oxygen therapy, and other therapists working with us. So we are an entire wellness fit out, and we're really looking for the next person to fulfill the position to elevate the studio and really serve our community. So if that's you, no matter where you are in the globe, if you're willing to relocate, we even offer you a 2-bedroom, fully furnished house to get you started, and we can help with visas, but you do need to know whether or not you're eligible either for a holiday working visa in Australia or a 482, a special skills visa in Australia. I can help you with that. If you have any questions, reach out to me if you're really keen and if you're super serious. And of course, if you're a superstar, I can't wait to hear from you. Back to the show. Now, if we look to psychology knows that having a reason behind why you do something, but a deep reason, something that is in your gut, in your heart, it's part of who you are, it's your soul purpose. Having that soul purpose is one of the meanings of life. Have you ever heard of a psychologist called Viktor Frankl? I've probably mentioned him before. Personally, I love reading psychology books because if we understand human nature better, if we understand how the mind works and how emotions happen, then we can read our clients so much more. And I tell you what, if you employ people and if you can tap into the psychology of people, then you can help your team grow in a way that nobody else has been able to give them space. And you know what? When shit does hit the fan, so for example, I've lost staff members in the last 6 months, like just from traveling and life changes and stuff like that. If I didn't have an understanding of human nature, then that itself could have broken me. But it didn't, because I realized that what somebody else's chooses to do, what somebody else's path is, has nothing to do with me. And sometimes you'll be on the same path as somebody for a while, and that's appropriate there and then, but it doesn't mean that you're always going to be on the same path. So Viktor Frankl, he was a Holocaust survivor and a psychiatrist, and he believed that finding meaning in suffering allows people to endure hardship and to thrive. So his philosophy was, he who has a why to live can bear almost any how. Now, in our new studio that we're about to be opening up, we are introducing ice baths and infrared saunas. Now, you know that I've been teaching Pilates for like 20 years, and that has really been my bread and butter. But in my personal life, I'm always looking at ways to support my own body, and especially as I'm getting older, like I'm pushing 50 now, and I want to continue to be able to do the things that I love doing. And as we get older, and I'm not saying that I'm old, but as we get older, you will certainly recognize the shift in the way that your cognitive state is. So the way that you can process things, your mental resilience to things, your ability to, and your drive to sustainably keep going, it does tend to slow down a little bit. And there are many reasons behind that. One of them, I would say, is if you think about it as far as when we are hunters and gatherers, a 50-year-old woman certainly was no longer out there hunting and gathering. She was probably a part of the community, within the community, at the camp, supporting the mothers and potentially being the medicine woman. So she was deeply seated within the community and was probably quite well respected if she had that type of position. Or she was now supported by her children, who would have been adults. That doesn't happen anymore. But our bodies and our minds certainly does start to slow down. So with that in mind, we started doing ice baths at home. And I cannot tell you how difficult it is to get into an ice bath. If you've never tried it, I definitely recommend it. And the reason that we do it is specifically for mental resilience. I know that I know that there is a lot of talk about that it's great for recovery and great for repair, great physiologically for the body. But for my husband and myself, we specifically use it to build strength of the mind. Partly this happened because over COVID, he lost his job because we didn't want to enter into an experiment. So he lost his job, and it was super stressful for both of us. You guys remember, like, our studios were shut down. He wasn't working. We didn't know what was going to be happening. And all of a sudden, everything came crashing down around us. When we looked around at how people were dealing with that, we recognized that a lot of people were turning to alcohol. A lot of people were turning to video games, the online space. A lot of people were getting takeout and fast food and really not honoring their own body. But in true entrepreneurial style, my husband and I decided to go the other way. We've always been taught, don't ever do what everybody else is doing. Because if everybody else is doing it, either you're too late to the party or what they're doing is not getting them anywhere. We always aim to be swimming upstream against the rest of the fish. to be asking questions where nobody else is asking questions, to be standing out in the crowd. That's always our aim. And so while everybody else was turning to alcohol and stuff, my husband started running, gave up alcohol, started running, and we set up an ice bath and we started doing ice baths. And there was just something that happened. We didn't know it at the time until afterwards. I started doing a lot of research on it, but doing an ice bath actually helps grow your frontal cortex. So the frontal cortex in the brain is associated with problem solving, with resilience, with dealing with pressures, with emotional health. And we didn't realize at the time that we were actually building that muscle. We were building that part of the brain. And then what happened was we started to feel really confident about the choices that we were making, even though nobody else was making those choices. We were not wearing masks. We didn't enter into any experiment. We weren't social distancing. We were not doing what the average person was doing. And that could have been very difficult, but it actually wasn't, because the ice bath grew our frontal lobe to the point where it was almost enjoyable to be not following the crowd. What happens when you step into an ice bath is you constantly, and if you've never done it, if you constantly have this conversation that you're having with yourself or you're getting in, and it goes something like this. Oh my gosh, I don't want to get in. Oh my gosh, it's so cold. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm just going to get out. Just as you're getting in, everything in your body is saying, I'm just going to get out. I don't have to do it. There's so many other things that I could be doing right now. I'm really busy. Maybe I'll just go for a run. Maybe I'll just go do some Pilates. Maybe I'll go for a swim. Maybe I'll do this tomorrow. And everything in your body and mind is telling you don't get in the ice bath, but you get in anyway. And for me personally, when I sit in the ice bath, I have to sit there for about a minute and a half and specifically practice vagal breathing. Vagal breathing helps regulate the parasympathetic nervous system. So while at first I get in and I'm really freaking out, after about a minute and a half, then my body starts to calm down. My breathing starts to calm down. I can feel my whole body settle. And that, I realize, is when I have dealt with that little monkey on my shoulder that is telling me, don't do this, and I've won. Winning is super important when it comes to that type of stuff that you don't want to do. And I forget the guy's name, but there's a scientist who specifically talks about neurological stuff. Oh gosh, I used to listen to him all the time. Anyway, he talks a lot about the frontal lobe stuff. So if you haven't checked it out, check it out. But Viktor Frankl also talks about it, is that suffering is important. And if you can get to the point in your life where you don't have to enjoy suffering, but you're certainly not trying to avoid it. If you try and avoid suffering all the time, then you will be miserable. And it's very easy in this day and age to only do things that you love doing. It's so easy because look at the keyboard warriors out there. If you don't like what somebody is doing, then you can get online and you can tell them off. You can put them in their place. A lot of people have this idea that, that my opinion is the only opinion that matters, and anybody else who has a different opinion needs to be shut down. It's the most ridiculous idea in the world. And believe me, I know this because I've been going through this with these bunch of idiots over the last few months. It's all died down now, but I was hounded by what we call the woke mob. They hounded me day and night for a couple of months, and I couldn't understand why my opinion about something mattered so much to them. What some people want, what a lot of people want, is for you to have the same opinion as them. And if you don't, then they're going to bully you and put you down and try and put you into your place until you succumb to their opinion. But it's not really how life works. Your opinion is sacred. Your opinion matters. You can think whatever you want. You can believe whatever you want, but you don't have any right to push and to force your opinion down somebody else's throat. There is no real absolute. There's your way, there's the other person's way, everybody can have their own way. But this is part of this adversity to suffering that people have. So you could get online and bash your keyboard and try and make people believe what you believe. If you don't like what you're watching on the TV, you can turn it off right now. At work, if somebody offends you and says something that you don't like, you could take them to court. You could actually, it can be illegal for you to offend somebody. Well, what type of people are we trying to protect? And what type of society are we trying to create here? Well, we all want respect. Respect should be a given, but sticks and stones, man. Like, if somebody says something that you don't like, move on. You don't have to beat them up until they take back what has hurt you or take back what you don't like. We are meant to suffer. We are meant to lose the sport that we are playing. We are meant to be the loser. We're meant to fail over and over and over again. And if you don't fail, then you'll actually never get anywhere. If you've gotten a certificate for everything that you've ever taken part in your entire life, it can tell you you're actually going to end up as a loser, not as a winner. Suffering is absolutely imperative. And while we don't have to enjoy suffering, we must endure suffering to learn the lessons that we are here to learn. And so when it comes to like Pilates, yes, we want to let our clients know when they're doing the right thing, when they're doing something well, but not everything needs to be, oh my gosh, that's so awesome. Oh my gosh, you're so perfect. It's okay to let people know when they're not doing something well. It's okay to help them do it better. It's okay to have those conversations with a client if they haven't paid their fees and they owe you money. Like, it's okay to offend other people. It's just ridiculous the way that the world has gone. Viktor Frankl, lived in the Holocaust times. So he was actually living in a concentration camp. He saw family members, friends, colleagues die. People starve around him, literally die. And he talks about, because he felt that he had purpose, because he knew what his why was, that is what allowed him to survive. So it was when people no longer had a purpose, there was no longer a reason for them to survive, then they died. And nobody knew when they were getting out. Nobody knew if they were going to spend their entire lives at this concentration camp until they died of old age. But for Viktor Frankl, it didn't matter. What mattered was that he had purpose in every single day. So finding purpose and finding your why is not only important for you to thrive, but ultimately it's important for you just to survive. Now, one of my other favorite psychologists, Carl Jung. So Carl Jung talks about the power of self-discovery. So Jung believed in what he called individuation, so the process of becoming fully yourself. And he talks about your purpose is found in deep self-awareness and embracing your unique path. And the thing with all of these psychologists and their ideas is ultimately these are all philosophies of one person. And then this one person would take that philosophy and play with that philosophy on other people and see how it played out. So then their philosophy becomes something that we all accept as truth. Carl Jung very much would, if you really looked at Carl Jung and you're a movement educator, you would potentially really enjoy his work. So if you haven't had a look at Carl Jung's work, I know that Mary Bowen practices Carl Jung's work in her Pilates practice. So if you haven't listened to the episode with Mary, then go back. It's one of the first episodes in last season, an interview with Mary Bowen. But she talks about the Carl Jung philosophies of this individuation, there's sometimes when we go through life, we haven't yet become the person that we ultimately are going to become. So it's almost like you have this pregnant, empty potential. So, and as you go through life, your environment, the people that you meet, the things that you do, the activities that you take part in, the books you read, the lessons that you have allow you to become your true potential if you allow for that to happen. And now Carl Jung believed that some people don't allow themselves to step into their true potential. And if we think of your why, your purpose, maybe that's the process of really asking yourself, why is it that I am a Pilates instructor? What is it that gets me up every morning? What is it that keeps me going? And if you haven't done that practice, if you haven't truly, really deeply stepped into that question, maybe it's time that you do, so that you can then potentially step into the person that you are meant to become. And this is a conversation that I'll often have with a client when they come in. Sometimes people can say somebody comes in and they have a sore shoulder, and their sore shoulder is keeping them up at night. And at first when they come in, that might be what they tell you. Well, I've got a sore shoulder. It's keeping me up at night. I really just want to do Pilates so you can fix my shoulder. Okay, cool. Well, let's start working. We start working. And I always am asking open-ended questions to try and understand people's own why. Why are they actually coming to Pilates? Nobody really just goes to Pilates to fix a sore shoulder, because ultimately, your shoulder is normally, if you just kept living your daily life, most of the time your shoulder will at some stage resolve itself. A lot of the time people are coming for answers. They want to understand their body better. They are looking for community. Sometimes people are looking for ways to learn to love themselves. Sometimes people are looking for ways to learn to love themselves so that their husband or their wife or their children or their sister or their brother can love them back. And I know that this is going deep, but I promise you, if you really asked the questions of your clients, nobody's coming just to fix their sore shoulder. People are coming for a deeper reason, for a deeper purpose. And I think that the more that we understand our own why, and the more that we open these questions to our clients and understand their why, then the community that we can create can be so powerful. And imagine all of those ripples of all of those people really stepping into their true potential and really delving into their why and really taking steps forwards to attain that goal of their deepest why. Can you imagine what that can do to the greater community of a whole lot of people, if whether you've got 20 clients or 200 clients, of those clients all really working with purpose? Can you imagine a concert of purposeful people then going out into the community and inserting themselves? Then they go to Kmart and they're walking through Kmart with purpose. I always imagine, and maybe this is crazy, but I always imagine that if my client can really understand their why, so sometimes that takes a little bit for it to be revealed. If they can really understand their own why, and then they come into the studio knowing that the reason that they're coming is so much greater than just their sore shoulder. And then they leave class and you've opened up that conversation. You've opened up the ability for them to understand themselves better, and they're moving, which is endorphins and dopamine and all the great things that happen. And then they go to Kmart, and the people who are walking around like zombies who don't have purpose, who don't have a why, who aren't even sure why they're in Kmart right now, well, the energy of that person that you have worked with to discover their why is now just blowing off to the people around them. I always think about that. So the more I understand myself, the more I understand my purpose, the more I can have these conversations with my people. And then maybe they don't ever have the conversation with someone else. Maybe they will. But it's the energy that they put out into the world that is the ripple effect where Pilates, I believe, really can heal the planet. Is that wild or what? I hope that you find that wild. And I promise you, this is what gets me up every day, is this true sense of purpose, that what I'm doing actually matters. What you are doing actually matters. It matters just as much as taking a breath. It matters so much. And so I'm going to invite you, if you're feeling like you're burnt out, like you're overrun, like nobody understands what you're going through, like you've lost your way, like you're wondering how you're going to continue, I want you to sit in on this question of your why for a little bit longer and maybe write it down, whether you journal about it or write a blog about it or share it with your kids or your husband or your friend or your staff. And definitely, if you've got Pilates students, share your why with them, because then it opens up the possibility for their own potential of just what a difference they can make in the world. I hope that you have enjoyed this episode, my friends, and I hope that you will be coming back to me next week. Remember, and I'm pretty sure if you follow me on Instagram, you will see that we are looking for host studios. And if you're looking to be a host studio, I want you to know your why. But we're looking for host studios to take on our Reformer and Mat certification program so that you can be the mentor to the next generation of Pilates instructors. Goodness knows that the next generation of Pilates instructors deserve more training than what you received. And this is part of the why, right? Is actually wanting to elevate the next person from you, not to see them as competition, not to try and stay on top of them, but actually allow for them to stand on your shoulders. So if you are ready to let the next generation of potential Pilates instructors stand on your shoulders and you want to be part of something great, then Pilates Pro Academy has a certification program that is recognized by the Australian Pilates Association, which means that our certified instructors come out of the course ready to take on the world, and they're ready to really step into their own purpose as Reformer and Mat instructors, and they can take that purpose anywhere in the world, baby. So imagine a world where there's more instructors out there who really understand why it is that they're doing what they do. So if you want to jump on board, get in touch with me, jump onto the website, jump onto our contact page. I want to hear from you. We've already got a studio. We've got LEB Pilates in Toowoomba, Queensland, and we've got the lovely Kimberley Road down on the Mornington Peninsula in Victoria. We are going to be taking Australia by storm with our certification program, and we cannot wait to welcome more heart-centered mentors into our team. I can't wait to see you next week. I will be here. You will be here. Have a fantastic week, my friends. My name's Katie Crane. I'm the Pilates professional, and this is the Pilates Lounge podcast. Ta-ta.